just to try to get in the shot that will finish things in.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
29 years ago, a battle took place in Tokyo, the result of which shocked the world.
It's over. It's over.
Mike Tyson has been knocked out.
Unbelievable.
James Buster Douglas made perhaps the loudest upset in boxing history. He began his career at the age of 18 and immediately destroyed his rivals in the ring. For a year and a half, Mike spent 27 fights and won each, a crazy pace. In 1986, he won the first league title, knocking out Trevor Berbick in 2 rounds. Mike became the youngest champion in the history of heavyweight. On the day of the battle, he was 20 years old and 145 days. This achievement has not been surpassed so far. For 2.5 years, Tyson beat his rivals and became the absolute world champion in heavyweight, collecting WBA, IBF, WBC, and the ring belts.
I was beating guys off of just pure brute strength and intimidation. Most guys were just pretty much intimidated. They lost the fight before they even got hit, most guys.
In the early 90s, Tyson was supposed to meet with the former champion in the first heavyweight and the first contender for his titles, Evander Holyfield. The fight was planned for a long time, but Holyfield, after defeating Jamaican Alex Stewart, asked for time to rest and prepare for the main duel of life. Mike held his last defense in July 1989 and sat idle.
Tell us what you think, who is next?
Well, I'm just taking it one step at a time. I'll fight anybody, you know what I mean? I don't discriminate from anybody. I'm the best fighter in the world, and there's no man that can beat me.
Does this mean that Holyfield is or is not your next opponent?
Well, he's in my future, but I don't think he's in my immediate future. But come on, Holyfield, don't matter. That's kids play.
What about Douglas, who looked a little better, if not great, in another preliminary? He's been mentioned as a possible opponent.
I take all comers. I don't duck any man.
Can we assume that Michael Dokes is one of the prospects?
All comers. Come one, come all, because nobody can get close to me. They're not even close. I'm the best fighter in the world.
In his interview with Larry Merchant, Mike acknowledged that you are not likely to be next on his list. He did not say for sure whether he would fight Jose Ribalta or Buster Douglas or Michael Dokes or any of the other names which are being bandied about, but he seemed to make it pretty clear that he's not going to fight you next. Are you getting impatient?
No, I'm not getting impatient. My time is coming, and I will be ready when my time comes.
That is why Tyson's promoter Don King suggested that the fighter carry out an intermediate defense and practice before the big battle at Buster Douglas. The Japanese paid $6 million to major boxing organizations to get Tyson's next defense in Tokyo. How much Japanese money fell into King's pocket is still unknown, but we are talking about 7-digit numbers. Mike agreed. He didn't care who he beat. Douglas was not the top. He was knocked out 3 times. He was 29 years old. Before the fight with Tyson, Buster was quoted as an average heavyweight, 3 dozen fights, 4 defeats, 3 by KO, and only 1 title chance. In 1987, when Iron Mike's ascent was just beginning, Douglas met with IBF champion Tony Tucker and lost by TKO in the 10th round. Buster entered a series of 6 victories in a row, incidentally killing points of ex-champion Berbick and future champion Oliver McCall. 2 major victories gave Douglas another title fight against the monster Tyson, but everyone was sure Buster is a light dinner for Mike.
Well, in the important game of expectations, this fight is over before it begins or soon thereafter. You have to remember that just nobody believes anybody can compete with Mike Tyson. In fact, Ed Schuyler of the Associated Press, when he arrived in Tokyo, was asked by a customs official what he was doing here. He said he was here to cover the Tyson-Douglas fight. How long do you expect to work? The customs official asked. Oh, he said, about 90 seconds.
Both boxers had problems before the fight. In late 1988, Mike broke up with manager Bill Clayton and coach Kevin Rooney. Don King fought with the manager for a long time on the ships, but parting with Rooney seriously affected physics and technology. After Rooney left, Mike won 2 fights at the old developments, but in the fight with Douglas, the coach was very lacking in the corner of Mike. In February 1989, Tyson took another blow. The divorce proceedings began with his first wife, Robin Givens. Mike himself said that he did not pay attention to the breakup, but he began to behave differently. Tyson often did not go to training.
In a workout in Tokyo, Mike was sparring with Greg Page, and he got hit and went down. He looked at me when he went down. I said, "Get up." And he got up and came over like this, and I wiped his gloves off, and I told him to go back in there. I had sat down one night, and I talked to Mike. I told him, "You're not Superman, and the best that I know about this game, the things you've been doing and how you've been doing it, you're headed for a butt whooping."
I can't say that I scored for training, but between the fights, I really allowed myself a lot. There were girls, drugs, everything was. But I went to the hall in front of Douglas. I remember that for sure. At that moment, I was just training and sleeping with the girls. This did not end even when we flew to Japan. Did I make out Bastard? Of course not. I have not seen any of his fights, said Mike.
Still in great shape, and there's nowhere I could lose.
In terms of sports psychology and so on, do you have a method? None at all?
It's fight. Nothing's better. You can have a psychiatrist, you can have whatever. No, you can't fight. You
Douglas, too, was not easy. In Bastard's life, there were 3 beloved women, Mother Lula, wife Bert, and Mistress Doris. At one point, he lost them all. A month before the fight, the spouse packed up and left home. Doris, who gave the boxer her son, was in the hospital with leukemia and struggled with all her strength. And 3 weeks before meeting with Tyson, Lula's mother died. Buster's managers suggested he give up the Japanese fight. Moreover, Lula asked him not to go into the ring with this rabid beast, but the boxer decided to fight.
He told me that she would want him to go on. He was very close to his mom. Before she had passed, she come to his house, and she was real worried about him fighting Mike Tyson because she had heard what an animal he was. And he goes, "No, I'm okay. I'm gonna beat him." She had went and told one of her girlfriends, "Oh, Buster's gonna beat Mike Tyson," you know? So that really gave him confidence too.
The day before entering the ring, the athlete caught a cold. Perhaps a sharp change in climate affected. The temperature rose to 38. Buster took antibiotics day and night, but did not give up the goal. Nobody believed in Douglas. Even Billy's father said that he would not be easy.
The story of his mother's death had been communicated to us, but we didn't know at that moment that it had somehow galvanized him. He was, for this one big occasion, going to be the fighter of his dreams.
We covered that fight almost as an afterthought, and we got there late in the week, and Tyson was sort of off limits or jetting around, I don't know which. At that point, the only person available was Douglas, because who wanted to talk to Douglas?
Fear was a lot of Tyson's weaponry in the past when he was at his greatness. The fighters came in almost frozen, almost the prey of a cobra. But Buster Douglas, by his mother just dying, he had no fear. What do I care? That just happened to be the perfect timing that he had to fight a dissipating Tyson whose mind is going everywhere, and a lot of it's following Robin Givens' retreating figure.
Mike was not like himself already when he entered the ring. It feels like his thoughts were not in Tokyo Dome at that moment. Buster, on the contrary, came out extremely charged. Family problems only tempered him. He wanted revenge. From the first rounds, he crushed his opponent with jab, worked competently at a distance, using the advantage in the growth and span of his hands, and quietly blocked himself from the attacks of Iron Mike.
Another right hand lead by Douglas.
Film, because he takes a move. He steps to his right, give a little angle.
Douglas giving as good as he gets inside right there.
Tyson looked straight forward. He had only a blow left, and the famous technique with diving and slopes was gone. Buster confidently fenced with jab, powerfully and accurately.
Was extremely close to his mother. Right hand by Douglas, right on Tyson's chin. Douglas again with a left and a right. Now Tyson lands a right hand and backs Buster up, but here he comes.
And there, of course, is Evander Holyfield, who has a guarantee of $12 million to fight Mike Tyson in June. And right now, that $12 million isn't in the bank.
Tyson turns things around against Frank Bruno. Right hand by Douglas.
Douglas rarely included a strong right hand, but at the right moments. Largely thanks to Jeb, the applicant achieved the main strategic advantage. In the 5th round, the champion's left eye was covered due to a hematoma. And then another problem of Tyson was revealed. His corner was not ready for the fight. Coach Aaron Snowell did not even make sure that the Catmen had ironing and ice in case of cuts. They tried to cure Mike's face injuries with a medical glove into which they filled ice water.
I don't think there would be anything like that.
After the fight, the trainer Teddy Atlas issued the famous phrase, "Dumb mediocrity gathered in the corner of Tyson. They would not even have learned to fish to swim." Mike was missing Kevin Rooney. During the battle, Rooney read the opponents and made important tips to Tyson, and the course of the fights changed. He was also missing during preparation. At the right moment, Kevin could restrain the champion's ardor. During the battle, Rooney read the opponents and made important tips to Tyson, and the course of the fights changed.
Tyson is holding on.
Tyson lost strength, but still sent the opponent to the knockdown. At the end of the 8th round, the champion got a crown uppercut. The referee Octavio Marin counted very slowly, and at the expense of 9, Buster got up. The gong sounded right there. And after 2 rounds, perhaps the main drop in the history of boxing happened.
Douglas coming back with a left and right. Tyson is wobbling. Tyson needs the ropes for support. Douglas wailing away. Without the ropes, Mike would have gone down.
And Mike Tyson is hurt. His eye is closing. And he is behind in this fight.
It was like in a movie. Already Douglas gets an uppercut. The exhausted Tyson is shocked. Douglas catches up with Mike's head in a combination of 4 strokes. Tyson falls, kneels down, tries to put the mouthpiece in his mouth, rises to the score of 10, but barely stands on his feet. Marin stops the fight and fixes the main upset in boxing history. The opinions of the judges seriously differed at the time the fight stopped. The American Larry Rosadilla gave the victory to Douglas, 88-83, and the Japanese Ken Morita, 87-86 in favor of Tyson, and Masakazu Uchida, 86-86, had a different opinion. If Tyson reached the final gong, the match could end in a draw or his success. This victory is for Mom, for the main woman in my life. Without her, I would not have been. May God protect her in the next world, said Baster after the battle.
Because I wanted it.
Why? Why did you win this fight that nobody on the planet gave you?
His mother.
In what way?
God bless her heart.
But Douglas couldn't really enjoy the victory. Tyson's promoter, Don King, appealed to the referee. King believed that the referee Marin took too long to knock down Baxter in the 8th round, as much as 13 seconds. But the IBF immediately recognized the victory of Douglas as legitimate. The WBC and WBA joined 4 days later. According to independent commissions, the referee during the countdown focuses not on time, but on the boxer's condition. For the Japanese battle, Buster received $1.3 million. Tyson's fee was $6 million.
Evander Holyfield, #1 contender in the eyes of all 3 governing bodies, and a man who had a contract for a guaranteed $11 million to fight Mike Tyson on June 18. Evander, your reaction to what you just saw?
Well, it was a great fight on Douglas' part. He went out and fought his fight and fought a very smart fight, and he proved that he wanted to be the champion.
The toughest guys are the ones that come back. I mean, it's nothing.
Douglas and Tyson no longer met in the ring. Their careers went on different paths. At the end of 1990, Buster lost all his titles, losing by knockout in the 3rd round to Holyfield. Douglas was completely unprepared for defense. He entered the ring 15 pounds heavier than he was in a fight with Mike. Larry Merchant looked at the champion with a surprised look. Look at his stomach. Is this exactly the guy who laid Tyson down? Immediately after the fight, Buster ended his career. Even before meeting with Holyfield, King was offering Douglas $10 million for a rematch with Tyson. Buster refused and received for a fight with Holyfield, according to various estimates, from $17 to $25 million. In the years following, Douglas measuredly spent money and ate a lot. A few years later, the boxer weighed 400 pounds and even fell into a diabetic coma. After recovery, Buster returned to the Hall and in 1996 resumed his career. Fees for fighting with Tyson and Holyfield flew away in 5 years. Douglas won 8 more fights against little-known rivals, held unsuccessful talks about a duel with Roy Jones, lost in 3 minutes by knockout to Lou Savarese, and finally retired in 1999. Now Douglas is doing business in Ohio, built a hotel and a couple of shops, and also opened a room in Columbus. Tyson returned 4 months after losing to Buster, and in 3 minutes, he dealt with Henry Tillman. Iron Mike fought another year, 3 wins, and then went to jail for 3 years for raping 18-year-old model Desiree Washington. In 1995, Mike returned to the ring, became the champion again, but lost the title after meeting with Holyfield. Next was a bitten ear, several victories, a crushing knockout from Lennox Lewis, retirement and bankruptcy. But now, Mike has a marijuana plantation. He is very well. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for new episodes about the boxing legends of the past.